Good afternoon and welcome to this series of lectures of literary texts for first year LMD from Biskra University. We have the pleasure to start with you these lessons or this course in which we'll try to cover different angles, right, and corners from that interesting subject which is literature, and also which is very large and a huge subject. That's why we will try to deal with it gradually by tackling every time, specific angle within it. Today we'll deal with literary genres. Now, if we look at this title, we find that the keyword in it is genre. Genre, as you can hear this word, is a French word originally. It's a French word originally, but it is borrowed, from the French language. That's why we can say it is a loan word. It is a loan word, which is taken from the French language to mean a type. Genre means a type, a kind, a sort, and so on. So when we say literary genres, we mean literary types or kinds. Clear? Types or kinds. Now, academically speaking, if you want to define this term, as a literary term, or technically, right, which is related to literature, we can say that genre, refers to that classification or that categorization of many literary texts, or all literary texts, according to certain features or certain characteristics these texts have in common or share. It means we take a lot of, or nearly all literary texts which are produced in the world of literature. We try to categorize them according to the similarities to the common points they have. For example, these ones are similar, for example, in terms of form and in terms of content. These ones are similar in terms of form also, but in another way. And these also others are similar in this and that way. So here we come up with this division, or with these types or categories, within literature. Now these categories are called genres. Now, in fact, this classification of the different literary texts is based on two main factors, or two main principal elements. First, we have the form or the structure. Now, if you compare between literary work, we have that we have different forms, and different structures. That's why we can characterize them. We can classify them into groups, which share similar, and categories and similar form and structures. Clear? Also, on the other hand, we have the content or the subject matter. We have some literary texts, which share the same subject, the same content, if you can say. Clear? For example, if we compare between poetry, drama, and prose narratives. For example, for poetry, what do we have? We have the poems, which are written in the form of lines, clear, and they're in the form of stanzas. They subject to that metrical pattern, about division of syllables. So all these, are certain features that many poems, all the poems share. Clear? Almost all the poems share. Clear? On the other hand, we have in the drama, we have the scene, the act, and so on. Now for narratives, we have, or for prose, we have those stories with their plots, characters, and so on. So like this, critics and scholars, were able to categorize and classify the different literary texts into different types or into different genres, according to mainly the structure, alright, or the form, okay, that these works share or have in common, and also according to the subject matter, alright, subject matter or the content of, okay, these works, and sometimes they are both of them determine, clear, the structure or form and the subject matter both determine, alright, the belongingness and the category of such or such literary work, clear. So we write here, simply, genre, first, means it's a French word. We'll focus only on the keywords here. Okay, French word, which means kind or sort or type. Clear. Now, as a term, it refers to that classification of literary works according to certain features or characteristics. Okay, to certain things they share or they have in common. Especially we have form or structure or, and sometimes both of them, okay, and subject matter or content. Subject matter. Now, in literature we have, okay, our scholars and critics categorized all the literary works into three major categories or into three major genres. We have what we call prose, we have what we call verse or poetry, and we have what we call drama. Now these three categories, okay, each genre has its own characteristics, has its own structure, its own form, its own subject matter, which is different, okay, from the other genres, and which distinguishes it from also the other genres, Now let's start with the first genre, which is prose. What's a prose? A prose is simply, okay, written or even orally. You know that in the past, okay, nearly all literature was transmitted orally, okay, from one generation to another. Alright, just orally. So prose is that written or oral texts which take the form of sentences, okay, and paragraphs. Okay. So, all what is written in the form of sentences which are complete, of course, and meaningful, and also paragraphs is called the prose. Of course, here we tend to distinguish it from the form of poetry or of verse, which takes the form of lines, clear lines. Good. So, prose, okay, takes the form of those texts which are made, okay, of a set or a group of sentences and paragraphs, of course coherent and attached to each other, clear. Now, in fact, prose also focuses mainly on two main elements, which are plot and characters. The plot and characters, unlike poetry, okay, which is concerned mainly with sounds, with rhythmical patterns of the poem and so on. Clear? So prose is concerned mainly with, okay, as elements with plot and characters. Okay, these represent its core. Its core. We can here also say that within this genre, which is prose, okay, which is a set of sentences and paragraphs, right? We have two subgenres or two categories within prose. This prose, okay, can be either fiction or non-fiction. So it has two types also under it, or under its umbrella. It can be fiction and also non-fiction. Let's try to explore the first subgenre within prose, which is fiction. Now, as you know, when we say fiction, we mean what? We mean imagination. Imagination, of course. That's why when we say fiction, we always go to those stories, those imaginative narratives, okay, and stories which are made up. All right, these imaginative stories which are interwoven by writers, by authors, and so on. Clear? So simply, fiction is or represents those narratives, imaginary stories, okay, which are made up by authors and writers. Clear? Authors and writers. Now, fiction also can be sometimes realistic. All right, based on real story, but you know that writers tend always to have certain modifications at the level of the story. They change names, places, and so on to render it a little bit imaginative, okay, and more significant. All right, more significant. So, fiction can be either realistic, right, like a story taken from reality, okay, and recounted in the form of a novel or short story. Also, prose can be, we can say, non-realistic, totally imaginative, kind of fantasy, like what we have in, for example, science fiction. So they are ultimate, imaginative stories. Okay, nothing in them is real. Okay, in those science fiction, stories or sci-fi stories. Also, we can have also a mixture of reality and fiction and imagination within the fiction or the prose fiction as a subgenre. Now, in this fiction, also we find many important and fundamental elements, which fiction is based on. In stories, in narratives, as you now have certain elements. For example, we have characters, we have the plot with its introduction, rising action, climax, resolution, clear, and so on. Resolution and so on. So all these elements are very important, if you can say, basics, we should find in any imaginative piece of writing, which is, of course, fiction, which is fiction. We can say also that concerning fiction as a subgenre of prose, it can be categorized also, into three, or it has three types, under fiction. We have, as you know, the short story, which is the shortest form of stories, short story, and we have the second form, which is a bit longer than it, alright, the novella, alright, and also we have the third type of fiction, which is the novel. The novel is the longest normally form of prose fiction. Prose fiction. Clear? Let's take some examples. For example, for the fiction or prose fiction. For short stories, we can mention here the short stories of the American leader of short story, Edgar Allan Poe. He has the Black Cat. For example, the Prolonged Letter, Casque of Amontillado, and many other short stories which are very interesting. For the novellas, we have also, for example, Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. This novella which was awarded, or which we can say could gain the Nobel Prize for Literature. We have also The Great Gatsby, by Fitzgerald, also novella. Now for the novels, we have a long list. Novels, for example, Charles Dickens novels. We have Great Expectations. We have Hard Times. We have Pickwick Papers, alright, and many other, for example, many other novels of him. Also Jane Austen as a British also writer, Sense and Stability. We have Persuasion, right? Also for also Staying Back. Okay, he has the novel of Grapes of Wrath, alright, and we have many examples of novels. Now move on to the second subgenre within prose. I repeat, prose always takes the form of sentences and paragraphs. Okay, paragraphs and sentences which are meaningful and coherent, of course. We have also second subgenre within prose, which is called nonfiction. Nonfiction prose. Now, in this category or type of prose, here the writing, is factual and informative. Alright, it gives only information, only facts. Okay, that's why it includes usually statistics, numbers, places, events. Alright, details. Okay, which are specific. Right, about something, and also usually realistic. Okay, because they are facts. Clear. So in this subgenre of non-fiction, we are as readers, going to be informed. We are going to receive facts about something. About something. Now, also the non-fiction category within prose can take the form of, can be creative, for example, an essay of meditation, can be personal essay, for example, it can be, for example, like the essay of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the American scholar, alright. Also, it can be, purely scientific, right, and factual, like, for example, any research paper, research academic paper, alright, and sometimes also even within non-fiction prose, we may have, those, stories which are written for the sake of documenting or recording one's life, especially author's life. That's why you find what we call biographies and autobiographies. Biographies and autobiographies. Clear? Autobiographies. Biography, as you know, is a story, written about the life of a person. It's an account about a person's life. Person's life and achievements and so on. Autobiography is also an account about a story of a person's life, but this person is the writer himself. So when writers write their own life stories, clear. Here we call this story autobiography. Autobiography. Alright, autobiography. And this autobiography, if you can say, has the form of a story, but it is something, if you can say, meant to be factual, informative to the reader about the life of a person. For example, we have the autobiography by Benjamin Franklin, in which he recorded his life, story with all its events, and incidents and so on. Alright. This is only a simple example about autobiography. Alright. Also, we have many forms, or types within non-fiction prose, types and forms. For example, you can find within non-fiction diaries, memoirs, essays, journals. Also many other biographies, autobiographies, clear, and so on and so forth, clear. Let's mention here two main or two of the prominent non-fiction prose works in literature, we have of Plymouth Plantation, which is an account of I don't know, factual writing about the life of the first settlers in the New World in America at the time, clear, of Plymouth Plantation, those immigrants who came on the Mayflower ship, alright, to the New World. So this writer, who is William Bradford, he mentioned and recorded, alright, their journey with all its events, adventures, and incidents in this piece of non-fiction, prose. So this is a piece of literature which represents something informative about the life and the story of the first settlers in the New World. Clear. Also, we have the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, which is itself entitled Autobiography by Benjamin Franklin, this genius, who is master of many arts, clear, and crafts, don't know, music, he is an essayist, playwright, writer, author, poet, and so on, inventor, and so on, clear. So here, within non-prose fiction, we are concerned with what is factual, what is informative, or information which are given, in the form always of sentences and paragraphs. Now let's write or draw a diagram of the first literary genre, which is prose. After, of course, bringing this forward. We have here number one, first genre. We have prose. Clear. Or let's go write it in the middle, it's better. Prose, which is divided also into two main subgenres. We have fiction and we have non-fiction. Fiction and non-fiction. This one, I said it's imaginative, right? Writing, narratives, imaginary stories, and this one is factual and informative piece of writing. And also under fiction we have three categories, which are novel, novel first, then novella, and short story. Here we have many. We have essays, diaries, memoirs, journals, and so on. Clear. Now this one takes the form of, we said, imaginary stories or narratives, and this one it's factual writing. Clear. Factual writing. So this is concerning the first genre, which is prose. With its two major categories: fiction, imagination, and non-fiction. Now let's move on to the next or the second genre, which is verse or poetry. Now we move on to the second genre, which is called verse or poetry. Now if you compare between prose, the first genre, and poetry or verse, we find they are different. In terms of mainly form and structure. While the first one takes the form of sentences and paragraphs, poetry has the line as its basic unit. The line, okay, or set of lines as its basic unit. Also in terms of subject matter, okay, for example, in prose we tackle or we deal with different topics, alright, which are usually social, psychological and so on in full details, clear. Whereas in the poem we have that kind of allegorical, that kind of symbolic, clear treatment of a particular subject or topic, clear, or topic. So now we go to the second genre, which is verse or poetry. So we write to verse or poetry. Now, this genre is considered the noblest, okay, literary genre. That's why it's called the crown of literature. The crown, okay, that kings, okay, wear. This is the crown of literature. If you want to define poetry as a literary term, we can say that it is that literary right or form of literary art. It's a form, okay, of literary art that uses that aesthetic, beautiful, right, rhythmical, right, or rhythmic, as well as metrical, okay, elements and qualities of language to evoke meaning, okay, to evoke meaning. So poetry, okay, simply is, okay, that literary art, right, which uses, right, that aesthetic, beautiful, and that rhythmic, right, qualities of language in terms of I don't know, syllables, okay, number of feet, right, classification of the stanzas, okay, order of lines, okay, to evoke special meaning. All right, good. Now, of course, as you know, that these two terms are used interchangeably. Okay, why? Because the poetry, okay, is based mainly on the line, or on what we call the verse. So the basic unit in poetry is the verse or the line. Okay, it is, we can say, the main constituent of any poem. Okay, the line. Good. Now poetry also we can, if we want to consider, all right, consider the main important constituents that participate, okay, and contribute to its uniqueness and to its profundity, all right, to its depth in terms of meaning, in terms of, I don't know, tackling any subject matter, all right. We can say that poetry, okay, depends on four main, okay, elements. Four main elements. We have the first two major ones are very important, which are the figures of speech, or what we call figurative language, or imaginative language that we use in the poem to give that allegorical and symbolic and deep dimension, okay, of the poem in terms of meaning. Okay, we have many examples of figures of speech. We have simile, we have metaphor as comparisons, okay. We have also personification, yes, personification, when we give certain human qualities to an object. We have also hyperbole, which is a kind of exaggeration in expressing, okay, a meaning, and so on. On the other hand, the second main element also, we have the musical, okay, devices, those which are meant to give that beautiful resonance, that musicality, okay, to the poem, all right, that beautiful touch in the poem, distinguish it from all the other genres, okay. Now, within musical devices, we have alliteration, we have assonance, we have consonance, clear. We have a rhyme, okay, at the end of every poetic line. We have the rhythm, okay, rhythm also of the poem, okay, rhythm of the poem with that harmonious, okay, division and coherence between those lines, those syllables, those feet of the poem, okay, and also those blocks, okay, stanzas within the poem. Alright, so these are the two major, okay, elements which poetry is based on. Figurative language, imaginative language, and its different devices, and also musical devices, which give specific musical resonance to the poem. Alright, make it echo in a unique way. Alright. Also, we have what we call diction. Now, if we regard the language of the poem, okay, it's not the language we use in our prose, in our narratives, in our in drama. Why? Because here we have that careful selection of the words. Careful selection of the words. Words in the poem are carefully selected to suit that noble form of art, which is poetry, and to reflect that deep meaning, alright, and to make that form of literature, I mean poetry, make it unique in terms of that depth of expression, that, I don't know, reflection of meaning in a unique way, okay, and so on. So here we have diction, also very important for the poetry. It's a very important quality of poetry. Diction, the choice of words, is something special, something carefully selected. Also, we have what we call precision. Precision, if we look and, if you can say, analyze the structure of the poem and the structure of different lines of any poem, you'll find they are built or established on the basis of very precise patterns, okay, very precise meters, division of syllables, organization or order of feet, alright, and also that kind of hierarchy in terms of order of those stanzas and okay, many other for blocks, if you can say, or parts of the poem. That's why also precision and diction are very important qualities of poetry that tend to distinguish it from the other genres, Clear? Good. Also, poetry is a large umbrella. Okay, you mustn't underestimate its vast also universe. All right, and this umbrella includes within it many other types or genres within poetry. We have narrative poetry. We have the epic poetry. We have what we call the ode. All right. We have the elegy, for example, to lament the death of someone, okay, and I don't know, mention his, right, your sorrow about this person. We have also the pastoral poetry written by shepherds, clear. We have also odd, lyrical, or ballads. Ballads is poetry which is meant to be sung, clear, to be sung, of course. So all these are also forms or types of poetry which has also their own unique subject matters, okay, mainly subject matter, and also they share the same structure, usually the same structure, but they are different in terms of subject matter. Good. Also, another important thing we should mention about poetry, this crown of literature, that we have to always point out to that, if you can say, distinction, all right, between traditional poetry and modern poetry. Okay, traditional poetry, which is governed by those strict rules, okay, of strict rules of the number of lines, the number of stanzas, right, and also strict rules with regard to the length of the poem and so on. Clear. We have, for example, different terms used in poetry to name, okay, different categorization, okay, of poetic lines when they come together. If they are 4 lines, we call them stanza, okay, and also a group of stanzas formed to us also different types of, I don't know, poetry. Okay, for example, we have the haiku poetry patterns and the poetry, okay, metrical patterns. We have haiku, we have villanelle, we have, I don't know, sonnets, and so on. We will explore all these in our next lecture. Just today we will try to have, okay, an idea about those terms, okay, and what they mean within the umbrella of poetry. On the other hand, okay, we have a poetry which is free, okay, free of all those limitations and restrictions, okay, in terms of length or in terms of number of lines, number of feet, number, and so on. We have what we call the free verse, okay. And the leader, okay, of this free verse in the modern era is William Butler Yeats. William, the poet, famous poet, William Butler Yeats, with his free verse, okay, free verse, which is free of those conventions, those strict rules, and okay, strict, we can say, strict also limitations, okay, that tend for these modern writers or poets, sorry, to limit, okay, the free expression of the poets. All right. So here we show distinction between free poetry and, okay, that traditional poetry, which is governed by the limit in terms of number, in terms of the of length, in terms of number of don't know, patterns, feet, syllables, and so on. Clear, and so on and so forth. If you want to mention some examples for poetry, for this unique, okay, and noble genre, right, of literature, we can, for example, remember here, for example, The Raven, okay, for the American poet Edgar Allan Poe. It's a very romantic and fascinating also poem. We have also lyrical ballads, okay, the famous or the first and famous first collection of poems, okay, that belong to romanticist movement written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge and also William Wordsworth. We have also William Blake's, okay, famous collection, Songs of Innocence. Now for modern poets we have the famous and American and the prominent poet Robert Frost with his significant poems like The Road Not Taken, Clear, and many other poems. We have Langston Hughes, that African-American okay, bard of Harlem, who wrote many poems, okay, to defend his belongingness to the African okay, roots, right, and so on and so forth. Clear. Now this is simply, okay, a brief account about the second genre, which is poetry or verse. Thanks. So let's write, okay, first definition of poetry, then highlight on the board, okay, its major elements that this poetry depends on or relies on. So we write here verse poetry. It is, we said, a form of literary art, that uses we said aesthetic, means beautiful, aesthetic, and rhythmic qualities of language, to evoke meaning, to create meaning, of course, this meaning is deeper than the meaning of prose. Clear, deeper and more, you can say symbolic sometimes, clear, and more sometimes symbolic. We said that this poetry depends on two major elements, which are musical devices as well as figurative language or figures of speech. Figurative language. Also, it is based on what we call as two major elements here: diction, the careful selection of words, and also precision. Precision, it means, of course, here the exactness, okay, in terms of that organization and order and division of those syllables and feet and stanzas and so on. Clear? So this is simply, okay, a brief, okay, here a diagram about the core, okay, or structure of this genre, which is verse. Now let's move on to the next one and the last main prominent genre, which is drama. Now the third genre, which is drama, okay, also is different from the two previous genres. I mean prose and verse. Because in drama we have what we call, okay, the plays, which are divided usually into that form of scenes and acts, or acts and scenes. And this form or structure is different from the line of poetry and also from the sentences as well as the paragraphs of prose. Clear? Of prose. So the main difference between this genre and the other previous genres is form and structure. Now, if you want to trace the origin of the word drama itself, drama comes from, okay, ancient Greek. Okay, ancient Greek to mean to act or to do. Okay, to act or to do. That's why here we have that association with action. In this genre, a literary genre, okay, we are not concerned only with that expression in the form of writing. Right, here we are concerned with also performing, okay, that piece of literature and put it in the form of action. Of course, on the stage, That's why, if you want to define the third genre, drama, we can say that it is literature which is intended for performance, okay, to be acted, of course, okay, in front of an audience on a stage, okay, usually on stage. Also, for drama, it takes the form of plays, okay, those plays which are performed, okay, in a theater, right? Like, for example, the plays that Shakespeare used to write, okay, they were all performed in front of that audience, okay, within the Globe Theatre, alright, the Globe Theatre. Now, inside also, or within the umbrella of drama, we have, let's first write, okay, the third genre, which is number 3, drama. That literature which is intended to be performed, to be acted, okay, or to be acted in front of an audience, in the theater. Number 3, you write here, drama. Drama. I said, okay, within drama we have many, okay, subgenre or many categories. We have what we call the comedies. Okay, these are plays which have happy ending. We have, on the contrary, comedies, yes, have happy ending. We have also tragedies. Okay, those plays which have sad ending. And we have tragicomedies, which are mixture of both comedies and tragedies, Here when we mention drama, of course, we always remember the famous playwright, English and British playwright, who is William Shakespeare, and we take his plays, as examples for this genre. He wrote many plays, so he is a playwright. Now in English, the person who writes drama, or who writes plays is called playwright. He is called playwright, and the person who writes poetry is called poet, and who writes, fiction is called novelist or author or writer in general, clear, or writer or author, author. Good. Also in this genre we have as key elements, we always find in this genre we have the dialogue. Drama is based mainly on dialogue between those characters who interact with one another on the stage. Dialogue, sometimes this dialogue also is individual, and it is in the form of what we call soliloquy, when the actor speaks to himself, loudly, in front of an audience. So all these are kinds of dialogues, whether with other characters or even with himself. Also, another key element, on which drama is based, besides dialogue, we have the conflict. Conflict usually also a very important element in drama. Clear, between characters, especially in the old pieces of theater, with those epics and so on. Clear, and also we have also this what we call stage directions or stage directions. Here we have considerations of the stage, that must correspond to the text of a drama. Clear, in terms of lighting, in terms of clothing, in terms of acting, in terms of behaving, in terms of gestures, and so on. So, dialogue and also the conflict, as well as the stage directions. How actors should act and should perform. On the stage. All these are basic elements in drama, because drama, unlike the other genres, has, we can say, practical side, which is acting or performance. Performance. Now, just as a remark about the notion of epics, we said epics is a kind of poetry, but this epic, as you know, is a very traditional and ancient form. Ancient form. For example, we have the Iliad, we have the Odyssey, poetry, but this epic has specific case as it has a narrative structure with characters and the plot, but this epic, in fact, it combines all the genres, in terms of form, takes the form of lines, clear, in terms of its constituent elements, we find in it plot and characters and events. Now, in terms of performance, the epics were written in the past, for example, by Homer to be performed, performed in front of audience. So that's why in this case, or from this side, they are considered related to drama to drama. They are mainly written to be performed, on the stage, on a stage. Clear? That's why the epic, I think, has a specific case. We can say it's the common point among all the genres. All the genres. Let's now summarize the content of drama. We say it is originated in ancient Greek to mean to do or to act. It has many, we said, categories, or types. It is literature. We write simply literature. Intended, written for. Intended. For performance. Clear. Performance. Among its categories and types, we have comedy, we have tragedy, and we have also tragicomedy, There are also many other categories in drama, like farce, like masks and so on. Tragicomedy, clear, comedy. Whether it's based on three main elements, which are dialogue, clear. We have conflict, mainly, and we have also stage directions. And the person who writes plays is called playwright. Like Shakespeare is a playwright. He will mention his works like Hamlet, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, the Merchant of Verona, Henry VIII. He has different types of plays, nearly 38 plays, okay, which are until now remarkable and memorable, okay, in the world, worldwide, okay, literature, okay, in the whole literature of the world. They are translated to many languages, clear, and they are read and studied, analyzed, okay, in different academic, okay, environments and universities, clear, universities. This shows, okay, how drama is important, okay, important compared to the other genres. So one mustn't overlook, okay, one genre at the expense of the other genres. All of them are genres of literature, and all of them contribute to, portray, okay, and to immortalize, okay, the rank and the position of literature in the world as a unique art, and unique form of expression, So here is the end of our lecture, about literary genres. Of course, as you see here, we can't write everything on the board, okay, because we have that limitation of time, okay, and even we have too many details we can't cover, okay, in that short time, okay, on the board. That's why we advise you always to rely on the technique of note-taking. So you are required to take notes, okay, while I am speaking, okay, and lecturing and mentioning the different details, different examples, different categories, different also works which are, okay, relevant to this lecture. So thanks so much for your attention and attentiveness, and see you in another lecture of literary texts. Good luck.